There's a story going around the internet right now, and maybe you've heard it, that every Tomahawk missile the United States fires contains 500 ounces of silver. A full monster box, 34 pounds. It sounds dramatic. It sounds like something they don't want you to know, but there's just one problem. It's not true. It's not even close. Because if you understand how these systems actually are built, how engineers think, how defense contractors operate, you realize immediately how absurd that 500-ounce number is. A Tomahawk missile is not a treasure chest. It's a machine. A very precise, very efficient, very optimized machine. And yes, silver is inside it. Because silver is the best electrical conductor on Earth. Nothing else performs quite like it. Not copper and not gold. It's silver. So it shows up in the places where failure is not an option. Guidance systems, contacts, high-performance electronics. But not 500 ounces. More like 10, maybe 15. And that difference between fantasy and reality is where things start to get interesting. Because the real story isn't about one missile. It's about scale. Look at what's happening in the world right now. The war in Ukraine, thousands of missiles, millions of artillery rounds, an explosion in drone warfare unlike anything we have ever seen. Every one of those systems uses electronics. Every one uses silver. And suddenly, you're not talking about ounces. You're talking about tons. Now, expand that beyond one war. Think about the Middle East. Think about rising tensions in the Pacific. This isn't a temporary spike. This is a structural shift towards more technologically intensive form of conflict. And silver sits right at the center of it. But here's where most people still get it wrong. They think war is what is going to drive the silver market. It is not. War matters, but it is not the main event. The main event is something far bigger. It's the global economy itself. Right now, the world consumes somewhere around 1.1 to 1.2 billion ounces of silver every year, and it only mines about 800 to 850 million. Think about that for a second. Every year, we use more than we produce. That is not a theory, and that is not speculation. That is math. Now, does that mean we're running out tomorrow? No. Because we draw down inventories, we recycle, we make it work, but the direction is clear. And then you look at where the demand is coming from. It's not coins. It's not jewelry. It's solar panels, electric vehicles, data centers. It's the entire infrastructure of a digitized, electrified world. So every time you add computing power, every time you expand energy infrastructure, every time you build something that did not exist 20 years ago, you are increasing silver demand. And here's the part nobody talks about. Silver is not like gold. Gold gets stored. Silver gets used, consumed, lost, buried in landfills inside electronics that are too expensive to recycle. Gone. So while we keep producing less than we consume, we are also slowly destroying the above ground supply. Not all at once, but steadily, relentlessly. And that's the real story. Not 500 ounces in a missile, but a global system quietly dependent on a metal most people never think about. A system where demand is rising, supply is constrained, and the gap between the two is being filled by inventories that are not infinite. Now, ask yourself the obvious question. What happens if the gap keeps widening? What happens when industrial demand, not investor demand, starts setting the pace? Because that is the shift that's already underway. And once that happens, you don't get a slow adjustment. You get repricing, sudden, violent, and unavoidable. And that's how commodity markets work, not gradually, all at once. And when it happens, people will say they didn't see it coming, but you will, because you understand something very simple. The world runs on things that are real, and silver is one of them. So now you know the rest of the Tomahawk missile silver story. And this one's for you, Beverly Nash. Build that stack. iBankerU. Good day.